Have you ever made your drawer boxes slightly too narrow for the slides that you put in and the space you have? Then I've got a real quick, easy fix for you. Hi there and welcome to WB Fine Woodworking. I'm Don. I'm working on a cabinet for my lathe and my grinder to sit on top of, and I've made some drawers. Now, because of something that came up, I made my drawer boxes a little too narrow for the slides and the opening. So I came up with a great fix, and this might help you sometime in the future as well. After I got the cabinets assembled, I carefully measured the space between the two slides. I made this setup on my table saw so that I could figure out how wide the bottoms of the drawers should be. I used my steel rule and a tape measure to do that. That measurement was carefully transferred to my Incra fence. I then cut a prototype drawer bottom just to make sure that my measurements were correct. In case you're wondering what those two blocks are for on the left, in this design, the drawer sides go outside of the drawer bottom, so that's what those two blocks represent. You'll see that in the prototype drawer I'm about to show you, and in the construction of the drawers later on. I finished up the prototype drawer that I was working on for the cabinet. It's now slides in and out very nicely. Yes, I used the pocket holes, but now I've made up templates. The templates are over here, and those are exactly the sizes that I used for this drawer. So now I can make all the rest of the drawers for my cabinet. And when I checked it with the template, it was perfect. It was right on. So now you're wondering, if I did all this preparation, how did I mess up? Keep watching and it will become real clear to you what I did wrong. After cutting all the drawers to width, I cut them to length. I ended up with this wonderful stack of melamine drawer bottoms. These were cut out of a scrap of melamine that I had, in case you're wondering why I used melamine. It was about now that I discovered that I had a real big problem. So here's where I ran into problems. I designed the drawers around 3/8 of an inch melamine because I had a whole big sheet of it and it was sitting around here for years and I wanted to use it up. So that's what I designed the drawers around. Well, as I got the drawer bottoms all finished, I suddenly realized I'm running out of melamine. So I went to my local suppliers and I found one that had melamine, but they don't have a panel saw to cut it down so I can fit it in the back of the van. So I went to my other supplier and he had this nice birch plywood. It's actually very nice. It's not Baltic birch, but it's close to it. It's good quality and it's 5/8 of an inch. So I bought that. Well, they're not the same thickness. Well, this isn't enough thickness to make a whole lot of difference. It does make a difference when you're using drawer slides. Since the drawer sides are connected to the bottom with pocket screws, I drilled pocket holes all the way around the drawer bottoms. I ripped the birch plywood to various widths depending on what I needed for each of the drawers. Each drawer in the cabinet was designed at a different height. I managed to rip all the drawer sides out of about 2/3 of a sheet of plywood. The length I'm ripping here is enough wood for all 4 sides of a drawer. Then using my Inqua sled, I cut them all to length. This is where those templates that I made up were really handy. The ends of the drawers are attached to the sides with pocket screws, so I'm drilling the pocket holes in the ends of the drawers. For this deep drawer, I'm using 3 pocket screws, but for the shallow ones, I only use 2. And I know there's some of you out there saying, pocket holes? You're using pocket holes? Well, they've been around for a long time. You ought to watch my video on pocket holes and see what I mean. In case some of you want to know what that loud hissing noise is, it's my Festool CT dust extractor. I figured out a way to hook it up to my Craig pocket hole jig and did a video on that. If you have a Festool dust extractor and a Craig jig, you might want to check out that video. As I mentioned before, this is a slightly different construction method for the drawers than some people use. The sides are outside of the bottom of the drawer. As I move along in this segment, you'll see how all of this fits together and how everything is clamped up. This is a drawer construction method that I learned from Dave Stanton down in Australia. If you're really interested in this construction method, I'll leave a link to Dave's video in the description below. It's really an interesting clamping method that Dave came up with to put all this together, but it really works well with parallel clamps. I'm really not sure if it would work with any other style of clamps, but you might want to try it. Now, as I turn this over, you'll notice all the pocket holes on the bottom. So yes, the pocket holes and pocket screws are what holds everything together. You can see here that after the sides are clamped on with those 2 clamps, then 2 more clamps are going to be added to tighten everything together. You may have also noticed that I haven't used any glue in this construction. Glue really isn't necessary. The pocket screws are going to hold everything together. And yes, I probably did a little bit of overkill on the number of pocket screws that I used, but I did want my drawers to stay together. On most of the drawers, the ends are held in with 4 pocket screws, but on the taller drawers, I use 6. Now here you can see what I really messed up on. The thickness of the birch plywood is thinner than the thickness of the melamine. This is a comparison of the prototype drawer and the real drawer on top of it. You'll notice there's a gap on both sides. So this is where I had to come up with a smooth move to fix the problem. The first step in fixing the problems was to mark where the slides were going to go on the side of the drawer, and then drawing that across the whole drawer after I got it out of the case. Now for the solution. Edge banding. Edge banding, you say? Yes, edge banding. I decided to go ahead and see if it would work. So I'm using my edge banding tools here and putting 2 layers of edge banding on each side of the drawer. I figured that I had to fill up the gap somehow, and I thought that this would be an easy way to do it, and I had a lot of extra edge banding sitting around the shop. The edge banding that I had was 3/4 inch wide birch edge banding that I'd ordered by mistake. So I had plenty of it sitting around. Of course, I know some of you are out there saying, well, I'd do it differently. Yeah, I could have done it differently. I could have cut out strips of wood and fit them on the side of the drawers that would fill the gap. That would work as well. but the edge banding was just sitting around doing nothing, and I really didn't need it for anything. Besides that, since it's birch, it matched the drawer sides, and perhaps no one even noticed that I put it on there. All that really matters is if it works or not. So when I go to put the drawers into the case, we'll see if it works. By the way, I did a video on using this cordless iron for edge banding. I positioned the bottom drawer on some spacers and pulled out the slides. Then I drilled the holes for the screws to hold the slides onto the drawer. My little electric screwdriver came in very handy. It's just perfect for screwing in these screws that hold the slides. Now that's what I call real smooth and a great smooth move. Well, I hope you liked that smooth move for fixing my narrow drawers. If you want to know more about how I made these drawers, you can check out Dave Stanton's YouTube channel. Dave's down in Australia. He's a really good woodworker and he has an excellent channel. I use his method for constructing these drawers. As always, give a thumbs up. Like this, please share the video to friends, and thank you all very much for watching.
Thank you.